At a luxury resort, I caught my cheating girlfriend with a staff guy, so I canceled everything and left her stranded broke and begging. I'm Alex, 32, male. I've been grinding at a construction management company for the last 5 years. Started as a site supervisor and worked my way up to project manager. Not rich by any means, but I make decent money, $85,000 per year, and save what I can. Grew up with a single mom who worked 3 jobs to keep a roof over our heads in a pretty rough neighborhood in Cleveland. Our heat got shut off twice during winter when I was a kid, and I remember my mom crying at the kitchen table over bills. That shit stays with you, you know? So I learned early that financial stability isn't something you take for granted. Every paycheck, the first thing I do is put 20% into savings. My friends joke that I'm cheap, but I prefer to call it strategic spending. I drive a 2012 Toyota that runs perfectly fine. My apartment is decent, but nothing fancy. 2-bedroom in a safe area with good parking. I could afford better, but why? My only real splurge is my gaming setup, and even that I built piece by piece over time, catching sales and refurbished parts. My ex, let's call her Megan, 2008 female, works at some fancy marketing firm where she's constantly talking about how she's undervalued despite making almost as much as me, $78,000. The difference is she spends every penny and then some. Designer clothes, fancy restaurants, the newest iPhone every year, you name it. Her apartment was this gorgeous downtown loft that she could barely afford, with furniture that looked like it belonged in a magazine but was all bought on credit. We met at my buddy Ryan's housewarming party 3 years ago. Ryan's an architect at a firm that sometimes partners with Megan's company, and he thought we'd hit it off. I wasn't looking for anything serious after my last relationship crashed and burned. She cheated with her gay best friend, who turned out to be not so gay. That's a story for another post. But Megan was seriously gorgeous, that perfect mix of cute and hot that's hard to find. Long brown hair, green eyes, athletic but curvy. And she seemed to have her shit together. Good job, her own apartment. Confident, smart. The night we met, she was wearing this simple black dress that probably cost more than my monthly car payment. But damn, did she look good in it. We ended up talking for hours about everything from our favorite Netflix shows to our career goals. She was funny, smart, and kept touching my arm when she laughed at my jokes. The chemistry was insane from the first conversation, and within a few months we were official. The first year was amazing. We went on weekend trips, tried new restaurants, had great conversations, and the physical connection was off the charts. I really thought I'd found the one. My friends liked her too, though Ryan sometimes gave me weird looks when she'd make certain comments. I ignored them because, well, I was thinking with the wrong head. Looking back, there were so many red flags I just straight up ignored, like how she'd forget her wallet whenever we went out to nice places. At first it seemed cute, oh no, I left my purse at home. But it happened way too often to be accidental, or how she'd drop these little hints about designer bags her ex bought her. Jason got me a Gucci bag for our 6-month anniversary. It was sweet, but honestly kind of tacky, always with that subtle comparison that made me feel like I wasn't measuring up. Or the fact that her credit cards were always maxed out despite her decent salary. She'd casually mention being declined at stores and laugh it off like it was quirky. They need to give me a higher limit. It's not my fault everything cute is expensive. My dumbass just thought she was bad with money but had a good heart. Spoiler alert, I was half right. Then there were the constant emergencies that required financial help. Her car needed sudden repairs. Her sister needed help with rent. Her laptop died right before a big presentation. I probably loaned her close to $7,000 over 3 years, of which I saw maybe $1,000 paid back, always with excuses about how her commission was delayed, or her expense reports hadn't been reimbursed yet. My buddy Dave tried to warn me once. We were having beers at his place, and he straight up said, "Bro, Megan's using you as an ATM." I got defensive, and we almost got into it. Didn't speak to him for 2 weeks after that. Wish I'd listened. My dad got diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer last year. It hit me hard. He's always been my hero. Worked construction his whole life, taught me everything I know about building, fixing cars, standing up for myself. When he started chemo and got too weak to take care of himself, I moved him into my place for a few months. It was the obvious thing to do, but Megan was pissed about it. "I thought we were going to move in together," she complained. Literally the day after his first chemo session. "Now we have to wait because your dad is hogging all your time and space." She was sitting on my couch scrolling through Instagram while my dad was in the bathroom throwing up from his treatment. Dad could literally hear her whining from the guest room. I told her to keep it down and she rolled her eyes and said, "It's not like he's dying or anything. People survive cancer all the time. My aunt had breast cancer and she was barely sick. I should have ended it right there, but I told myself she was just stressed from work and didn't really mean it. She started visiting less while Dad was there, always with excuses about deadlines or girls' nights. When she did come over, she'd make passive-aggressive comments. The house smells like hospital, or maybe your dad would be more comfortable in a facility where professionals could care for him. After Dad recovered enough to move back to his place, he pulled me aside and said, "Son, that girl's going to bring you nothing but heartache. I've met plenty of women like her on job sites, all take and no give." Should have listened to the old man. He's always been right about people. Fast forward to our 3-year anniversary. I decided to go all out and book this insane resort vacation in Hawaii. It cost me nearly $8,000 with flights, accommodations, activities, the whole package. Took me 8 months of saving, picking up extra weekend jobs, supervising small renovations, and cutting back on basically everything. I even sold my gaming PC and downgraded my car to an older model to make it happen. Megan knew I was planning something big, but had no idea what. When I surprised her with the trip, her first question wasn't wow or thank you, but, "Are we flying first class?" We weren't. I'd stretched my budget as far as it would go for the resort itself. She pouted for a solid hour, then spent the next week complaining to her friends on the phone about how basic it was to go to Hawaii. Everyone goes to Hawaii, Brit. I was hoping for Bali or the Maldives, something Instagram-worthy. I overheard her saying this while I was in the other room pretending to be asleep. Still, I was pumped. I even bought a ring, nothing fancy, just a simple diamond that cost me another $3,000. I was planning to propose on our last night at a private dinner on the beach I'd arranged. The reservation alone cost $500. Talk about dodging a bullet. The resort was seriously insane. Private bungalow with our own hot tub overlooking the ocean. All-inclusive food package, even a personal concierge named Kai who'd arrange whatever activities we wanted. The place was way above my normal budget, but I wanted to make it special. We landed in Maui after a long flight with a layover in LA. I was exhausted but excited. The resort sent a private car to pick us up, another splurge that cost $150 each way. Megan immediately started complaining about the flight. Economy was torture on my back. Then spent the car ride texting, instead of looking at the incredible island scenery. When we arrived, I was blown away. Palm trees swaying in the breeze, open-air lobby with a koi pond, staff greeting us with fresh flower leis and cold towels. It was exactly like the pictures, maybe even better. I looked over at Megan expecting the same awe on her face, but she was busy comparing the place to some resort her friend had stayed at in Bora Bora. Our bungalow was even more amazing than I'd hoped. Ocean view. King-sized bed draped in white linens, private deck with steps leading right down to the beach. I'd requested rose petals on the bed and a bottle of sparkling cider. Megan didn't like champagne, said it gave her headaches, which cost an extra $90. When we walked in, Megan glanced at it all and said, "Oh, that's nice." Then spent an hour rearranging the furniture because the feng shui was off or whatever. That first evening, I suggested a walk on the beach at sunset. Romantic, right? Megan said she was too tired and needed to recover from the flight stress, so she stayed in the bungalow, scrolling through social media while I went alone. I texted her a picture of the most incredible sunset I'd ever seen. She replied nice and a thumbs-up emoji. First night, Megan wanted to hit the resort club. I was jet-lagged as hell but went anyway. She spent the whole night dancing with these rich-looking guys while I struggled to keep my eyes open at the table, kept telling me to loosen up and stop being such a grandpa. I was literally just tired from the 11-hour travel day. Some dude in a Rolex bought her a fancy mocktail and she was giggling at everything he said. When I mentioned it later, she accused me of being controlling and jealous of anyone who talks to her. Our first night in paradise ended with her sleeping as far away from me on the king bed as physically possible. Day 2 wasn't much better. I'd booked a couple's massage, but Megan was tired and snapped at the masseuse for pressing too hard. The poor woman looked like she was about to cry. After lunch, Megan perked up when she spotted the resort's infinity pool where a bunch of guys were hanging out. Suddenly, she was all about enjoying our vacation. I noticed she was getting extra friendly with one of the staff, a ripped dude named Jake who worked at the pool. Kept laughing at everything he said, touching his arm, flipping her hair, the whole routine. "Just being nice," she said when I mentioned it. "Don't be so insecure. God, are you going to be jealous the whole trip? That's so unattractive." Meanwhile, Jake kept coming by our chairs, bringing Megan free smoothies and extra towels. "For the pretty lady," he'd say, barely acknowledging me. I tried to brush it off. Guy was probably just working for tips. Later that night, she kept texting while we were at dinner, constantly, like every 30 seconds, checking her phone and smirking. When I asked who she was talking to, she got super defensive. God, Alex, do you need to monitor everything I do? It's just Brittany from work. We're planning a presentation for when I get back. I'd met Brittany once. Tall blonde who looked at me like I was something she'd scraped off her shoe. Always got the vibe she didn't think I was good enough for Megan. I'd booked this amazing restaurant, a place known for farm-to-table Hawaiian cuisine with a 6-month waiting list that I'd somehow managed to get us into. The chef even came out to our table to explain each course. Megan barely looked up from her phone, then complained that the portions were pretentious and wanted to stop for pizza on the way back. That night, Megan claimed she was too tired for any intimacy, but then spent 2 hours in the bathroom getting ready for bed. When she finally came out, she just rolled over and pretended to be asleep. I noticed her phone kept lighting up with notifications, which she checked the second she thought I was asleep. Day 3 was when shit hit the fan. I'd booked an exclusive volcano helicopter tour, $700 for both of us. That morning, Megan claimed she had a migraine and needed to stay back. "You go, babe. I'll just rest by the pool when I feel better. No sense in both of us missing it since it's non-refundable." She seemed way too eager for me to go alone, but I figured maybe she really was sick. I almost canceled to stay with her, but she practically pushed me out the door. "I just need to sleep it off. Go enjoy yourself." About 30 minutes into the helicopter ride, I couldn't stop thinking about how miserable the trip had been so far. Megan had seemed annoyed by everything I'd planned, except when we were around other guys. The pilot was pointing out lava flows and incredible views, but I couldn't focus. Something felt wrong. I made an excuse about feeling airsick and asked the pilot if we could cut it short. Paid the full amount anyway, and headed back to the resort to see if Megan was feeling better. The whole taxi ride back, I had this knot in my stomach. Call it intuition, but I knew something was off. The taxi driver, an older Hawaiian guy named Kimo, must have noticed my expression. "Everything okay, brother?" he asked. "Yeah, just worried about my girlfriend. She wasn't feeling well." He nodded wisely. "When my wife isn't feeling well, I bring her ginger tea and sit with her. 20 years married next month." "That's great," I said. "Any advice?" He thought for a moment. "Find someone who looks at you the same way when no one is watching as when everyone is watching." Those words stuck with me as we pulled up to the resort entrance. I tipped him extra and thanked him for the advice. When I got back to our bungalow, I heard music playing. Not just any music, our playlist, the one I made specifically for when we're intimate. My heart started pounding so hard I thought it would break my ribs. I used my keycard as quietly as possible. The main room was empty, but there were 2 half-finished smoothies on the table, definitely not resort glasses. These were our personal tumblers I'd packed as a surprise, because Megan once mentioned she thought it was romantic to drink from the same glasses when traveling. There were clothes scattered across the floor, a man's shirt I didn't recognize, Megan's bikini top. My hand started shaking. I heard giggling from the bedroom, then a man's voice. "Your boyfriend really paid for all this? What a sucker." Megan's response made my blood freeze. "Yeah, Alex is a nice guy, but so boring. Always saving for the future like we're already married or something. A girl needs some excitement, you know? So you're definitely breaking up with him after this trip?" Jake's voice. "I mean, I've been trying to get him to dump me for months, but he's so desperate he just takes whatever scraps of attention I give him. It's kind of sad. Maybe I'll finally pull the trigger when we get home. Depends on how things go with you and me this week while he's off on his little activities." She laughed, that mean, mocking laugh I'd never heard from her before. "What about that guy from your office you were telling me about?" Jake asked. "Mike? He's just a distraction when I'm bored at work. He's got money, though. Took me to that fancy sushi place downtown last week while Alex thought I was at a girls' night." Another laugh. "Alex is so clueless. I've been seeing Mike for like 6 months and he has no idea." I pushed open the door, and there they were. Megan and Jake, the pool staff guy, completely naked in our bed that I was paying $600 a night for. They didn't even notice me at first. When they did, Megan's face went through about 5 different emotions in 2 seconds. Shock, embarrassment, fear, then, weirdly, annoyance. "Alex, what the hell? You're supposed to be on your tour." She wasn't even trying to cover herself, just looked irritated that I'd interrupted. Jake at least had the decency to look ashamed. "Shit, man, I'm sorry. She said you guys had an arrangement." I couldn't even speak, just stood there while my brain tried to process what my eyes were seeing. 3 years. 3 fucking years I'd invested in this relationship. All the times I defended her to my friends when they said she seemed self-centered. All the extra shifts I'd picked up to afford this trip. The ring sitting in my luggage that cost me 3 months of saving. Are you just going to stand there staring? It's creepy, Megan said, finally grabbing a sheet. Not to cover herself out of shame, but almost like she was annoyed at my presence. I don't think he's okay, Jake muttered, reaching for his underwear. He's fine, Megan snapped. Alex, seriously, can you give us a minute? This is awkward. That's when something in me snapped. Not in a violent way, more like a moment of perfect clarity. I suddenly saw Megan, really saw her for the first time, the entitlement, the selfishness, the casual cruelty, and I realized I'd been blind to it for 3 years. In that moment, I also realized I had all the power in this situation. Every reservation was in my name, every activity, the room itself, the flight home, all of it. Take all the time you need, I said, eerily calm. I walked to my suitcase and started packing my stuff. What are you doing? Megan demanded, suddenly looking concerned, not sad or apologetic, concerned. What does it look like? Don't be such a drama queen. She rolled her eyes. It's not like we're married. You can't just leave. Jake was scrambling for his clothes. I should go. No, stay, I told him. You two clearly have plans. Don't let me interrupt. Alex, you're being ridiculous, Megan said in that entitled tone I'd heard 1,000 times before. We still have 4 more days here. I made a mistake, okay? People make mistakes. I just kept packing methodically, t-shirts, shorts, toiletries. The ring box I pushed deep into a side pocket. I took out my phone and snapped a couple of quick photos of them in bed, just insurance. Are you taking pictures? That's illegal, Megan screeched, suddenly covering herself. It's my room, I said calmly, and Hawaii is a one-party consent state. Are you seriously going to throw away 3 years over one little slip-up? She continued, getting angry now. After all I've put up with from you, that got my attention. What exactly have you put up with from me, Megan? Oh, please. Your boring job, your constant budgeting, your sick father living with us for months. I've been patient, Alex. More patient than most girls would be. And there it was, the real Megan. The one my dad had seen, the one I'd been blind to. You know what's funny? I was going to propose on this trip. Her eyes widened, suddenly calculating. I could practically see the dollar signs in them. You were? Oh my God, Alex, I'm so sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. Please, can we talk about this? Jake was just leaving, right, Jake? Jake, now fully dressed, practically ran for the door. Yeah, sorry again, man. As I headed for the door myself, Megan grabbed my arm. You can't just leave me here. How am I supposed to pay for all this? I smiled for the first time since walking into that room. Not my problem anymore. Alex, be reasonable. She switched to her sweet voice, the one she used when she wanted something expensive. Let's just talk about this. I know I messed up, but you can't just abandon me in Hawaii. Watch me. I pulled my arm free and walked out. As I closed the door, I heard her yell, "You'll be back. You always come crawling back." That's when I knew exactly what I was going to do. I stopped by the front desk and asked for a piece of paper and an envelope. Wrote a quick note. Megan, your return flight is AA 982 on Saturday at 2:30 p.m. Your seat is 23C. Don't bother calling. I've blocked your number. Alex. A woman named Diana came out. Professional but concerned when she saw my expression. She was maybe mid-40s with kind eyes and the polished look of someone who'd been in hospitality for years. Mr. Henderson, I'm Diana Kapoor, the property manager. How can I help you? I need to check out immediately, I told her. Personal emergency. She guided me to a private office away from curious ears and checked her computer. Mr. Henderson, you're booked for 4 more nights in our premium bungalow. There's a significant cancellation fee for early departure. I'll pay it, I said. And I have a question. All the reservations, activities, and dining credits are in my name, correct? She nodded slowly, seeming to sense something was very wrong. Yes. Everything is linked to your registration and payment method. And if I check out, what happens to those reservations? Diana looked uncomfortable. Well, they'd be automatically canceled and refunded to your card. Your guest would need to re-register under her own name and payment method if she wishes to stay. That's when the full scope of my power hit me. Everything. The bungalow, the jet ski rental I'd booked for tomorrow, the sunset dinner cruise, the spa treatments. All of it was under my name and my credit card. What about the resort credit balance, I asked. We had about $2,000 in credit for food and drinks that came with the package. That would also be forfeited upon checkout, Diana explained. I nodded. And what's the daily rate for that bungalow if someone were to book it today? It's our peak season, so $950 per night plus resort fees and tax, approximately $1,200 total per night. I smiled. Megan's credit limit was $5,000. She'd maxed it out buying a new wardrobe for this trip, new bikinis, dresses, sandals, the works. She'd shown me the credit card statement by accident when complaining about a charge, and I'd seen she had less than $200 of available credit left. One more thing, I said. Could you please not inform the other guest of my checkout until tomorrow morning? I'd like to avoid a scene. Diana seemed to understand exactly what was happening. Of course, sir. We can handle that discreetly. And can you make sure housekeeping doesn't service the room until after I've gone? I still need to gather a few things. She nodded knowingly. Certainly. Checkout will be processed at midnight, but your key card will remain active until 10 a.m. tomorrow. I thanked her and turned to leave, then added, oh, and please note that Jake from the pool area has been entering guest rooms unauthorized. You might want to look into that. Diana's expression hardened slightly. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. We take staff conduct very seriously. She typed something into her computer. Mr. Henderson, I'm very sorry that your stay with us has been compromised. I've taken the liberty of waiving the cancellation fee, and I'd like to offer you a 50% discount should you choose to return to our property in the future. That surprised me. Thank you, but that's not necessary. We pride ourselves on providing a relaxing, enjoyable experience for our guests, she said firmly. Clearly, we failed in that regard. She handed me her business card. If you'd like to book with us again, perhaps when you can truly enjoy our amenities, please contact me directly. I went back to the room to grab my remaining stuff. Megan was in the shower, probably washing away the evidence. I could hear her humming to herself, completely unbothered by what had just happened. I quickly grabbed my things, including my passport and the only printed copy of the return flight information. I photographed the flight details so Megan would still be able to get home. She just wouldn't know that yet. I noticed her purse on the table. For a split second, I considered taking her wallet or ID to make it really impossible for her to function, but I'm not that kind of person. Besides, my revenge would be sweeter without crossing that line. I left my key card on the table and walked out without saying goodbye. As I closed the door, I heard the shower turn off. Part of me wanted to stay and confront her again, but there was nothing more to say. I booked a room at another hotel on the other side of the island. A modest place. Nothing fancy, for $180 a night. The relief of being out of that situation was immediate and physical, like putting down a heavy weight I'd been carrying for years. I turned off my phone and went for a long walk on a public beach, watching families play in the waves and couples holding hands. For the first time in years, I felt free. When I turned my phone back on the next morning, I had 28 missed calls and over 50 texts from Megan. I read through them while eating breakfast at a little local cafe, away from the tourist areas. The texts started angry. Where the hell are you? Stop being childish and come back. Then confused. The restaurant said our dinner reservation was canceled. What's going on? Then panicked as reality set in. The front desk just called and said you checked out. They want me to pay $1,200 for tonight or leave by noon. Alex, this isn't funny. Then desperate. My card was declined. They're saying I have to leave. Where am I supposed to go? I don't have enough for a flight home. The manager says all the reservations were canceled when you checked out. The jet skis, the luau, everything. Alex, I can't afford this. My parents aren't picking up. Brittany isn't answering either. The hotel says they're fully booked and I need to be out by 1 p.m. I checked other places and everything under $500 is booked. Alex, please. I know I messed up, but you can't do this to me. Each message got progressively more desperate. The last few were just crying face emojis and please call me over and over. I sent one text. Sounds like you have a problem. Maybe Jake can help. She called immediately. I let it go to voicemail. Her message was hysterical. Alex, please. I made a terrible mistake. I'm being kicked out and I have nowhere to go. All the hotels are booked or too expensive. I called my parents, but they're not answering. Please, I'm begging you. I texted, your return flight is still booked for Saturday. Your name is on the reservation. Her reply came instantly. That's 4 days from now. What am I supposed to do until then? I only have $300 cash. Please, Alex, I'll do anything. We can work this out. I promise nothing like this will ever happen again. I replied, you should have thought about consequences before fucking the pool guy in my bed. Have a nice life, Megan. Then I blocked her number. Later that day, I got a call from her friend Brittany, the supposed work friend I'd always suspected knew about the cheating. You're a real piece of work, Brittany spat, leaving a woman stranded in Hawaii, real manly. Funny, I replied. I thought feminism was about equality. Megan's an independent woman with a job and a credit card. She'll figure it out. Her card is maxed out, and the only hotel with vacancies wants $500 a night. She's sitting in a coffee shop with her luggage right now. Sounds like she should have thought about that before fucking the pool guy in my $600 a night bed. Silence from Brittany. Then, what? Oh, she didn't mention that part. Ask her about Jake from the pool. You know, the part where I walked in on them together after she faked a migraine to get me out of the resort. She told me you guys had a fight and you stormed off over nothing, Brittany said, her voice suddenly uncertain. Yeah, well, she's lying, just like she's probably been lying to you about other things. What's that supposed to mean? Ask her about Mike from the office, the guy she's been seeing behind my back for 6 months. I heard her telling Jake all about it right before I walked in on them. Another long silence. I need to go. An hour later, I got a text from an unknown number. This is Brittany. I'm sorry. I didn't know what really happened. She's been lying to all of us. I spent the rest of my time in Hawaii actually enjoying myself. Went surfing, hiked a volcano, ate at local spots instead of tourist traps, met some cool people at the hotel who invited me along on their snorkeling trip. Best vacation of my life once the dead weight was gone. I did feel a twinge of guilt knowing Megan was potentially stranded, so I anonymously paid for a cheap motel room for 2 nights and had the front desk give her the key when she showed up. Not because she deserved it, but because I needed to know I was still a decent person, even if she wasn't. On my 3rd day of freedom, I got a call from Ryan. Dude, what the hell happened? Megan's parents called me trying to find you. I gave him the condensed version. He was silent for a moment, then said, Shit, man. I'm sorry. I should have warned you. What do you mean? He sighed heavily. I heard rumors about her and Mike from the office a few months ago. Didn't want to believe it. Without proof, you know? Thought maybe it was just office gossip. Why didn't you at least tell me about the rumors? I tried. Remember that night at Dave's when I said we needed to talk about Megan? You shut it down hard. Said I was jealous because I was single. He was right. I had said that. I'd been so defensive about her. Any idea what happened to her? I asked. Not because I cared, but out of morbid curiosity. From what I heard, she managed to reach her parents who wired her emergency money. They were pissed, like beyond pissed. Apparently she told them she lost her wallet, but then the resort manager called them directly about the situation with Jake. I laughed despite myself. Diana called her parents? Guess so. Something about, we reached out to Miss Wilson's emergency contacts, as she appeared to be in distress. Honestly, I think the manager was looking out for her, but ended up exposing her lie in the process. When I landed back home, Ryan was waiting at the airport. Dude, you look different. Tan, but also, I don't know, lighter somehow. Amazing what getting rid of a cheating parasite will do for your mood, I replied, only half joking. He drove me home and updated me on what had happened while I was gone. Megan had been telling everyone I abandoned her in Hawaii after a small fight. I showed him the pictures I'd taken when I walked in on them. Yes, I'd had the presence of mind to take a couple quick photos as evidence before they noticed me. His jaw dropped. Holy shit. She told me you guys had a fight because you were controlling her spending on the trip. Classic Megan twisting the truth, I said. How'd she get home anyway? Ryan laughed. That's the best part. She had to call her parents who wired her money for a hotel and an earlier flight. She's been staying with them since she got back, because she's too embarrassed to face anyone. Her parents? Damn, that must have been a fun conversation. Oh, it gets better, Ryan continued. Apparently, when they asked why she needed emergency money, she told them you two had a fight. But then Jake from the pool called the resort, looking for her, and the manager mentioned to her parents that there had been an incident involving their daughter and a staff member. I couldn't help but laugh. So her parents know everything, pretty much. And get this, that guy from the office, Mike? Turns out he and Megan were seeing each other for months. He called me asking what happened because Megan suddenly blocked him everywhere. Wait, Mike called you? We've met at company events before. He said he needed to clear the air with you. Apparently, Megan told him you guys were basically separated and just going through the motions. He had no idea he was the side piece. 2 days later, my doorbell rang. It was Megan's dad, Robert. I'd always liked him, straightforward old-school guy who worked as a mechanic his whole life. "Alex," he said, looking uncomfortable. "Got a minute?" I invited him in and offered him some water. He sat heavily on my couch, looking tired. "Megan told us what really happened," he said. "Her mother and we're ashamed. We raised her better than that." "It's not your fault, Robert." Maybe not. But I'm sorry anyway." He pulled out his wallet. "I want to reimburse you for the trip. It's not right that you lost all that money." I shook my head. "Keep it. Consider it the price I paid to find out who she really is before I made an even bigger mistake." He looked at me directly. "She's been telling people you were abusive, controlling her money, isolating her from friends. Just be careful. My daughter can be vindictive when her pride's hurt." After Robert left, I got a text from Megan's sister Jess warning me that Megan was planning to show up with a fake pregnancy story. Sure enough, she appeared at my door that night claiming to be late. When I called her out on the lie, her face transformed from vulnerable to furious in an instant, threatening to ruin my reputation at work. I filed a police report documenting her threats and told my boss everything, showing him the evidence. 2 weeks later, Megan suddenly moved to Chicago for a great new job opportunity. Life's looking up now. I'm taking another vacation next month, solo this time. The money I'd been saving for Megan's engagement ring is paying for a 2-week trip to Thailand instead. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just leaving someone who treats you like shit. It's leaving them to face the consequences of their own actions while you move on to a better life.